let's shift gears. I want to bring on Justin Holsomback, so we could talk a little bit. And I apologize to the callers that I have on hold. If I don't know if you guys want to clear the lines and call back. We're going to do this interview really quickly, and then we'll take callers. But I want to bring Justin on. Justin, I see you in the room. I see your avatar, but I don't see. Are you there, Justin? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Okay, there we go. There we go. He's Johnny on the spot. How's it going, man? Welcome back. Glad to have you again. How's everything in Georgia?
Oh, it's going great. Actually, got some real, which was the religious freedom bill. It actually got vetoed by Governor Deal, something that myself and a lot of other candidates in the state were pushing for, along with businesses in the state, and we were able to put enough pressure on Governor Deal. I wish it was because of popular outcry instead of the business outcry. Yes. But in the state of Georgia, we'll take our wins where we can get them, because in North Carolina, they had the exact same business outcry, and their governor did not veto their legislation and is actually fighting against the businesses. So we'll take our wins. I wish it was under different circumstances, and we're going to try to have campaigns like ours represent the actual change moving forward for that.
And we definitely appreciate that, your commitment to it. Listen, for some of my listeners who may not be up to speed, and I really hope that that's nobody who's listening. I hope everyone who's listening is up to speed. Give us a brief overview of what the religious protection, bill was going to do in Georgia and how it affected particularly the LGBTQ community.
So that bill started off as what we call a live and let live bill. So it's just one of those bills that they put out there. It affirms a right that already exists, but it doesn't actually change anything. And so what the bill initially started as was to say pastors could not be forced to give gay weddings or homosexual weddings, which they're currently not forced to at all. They're a business contractor in that sense, and no one can force them to sign up for a contract. What that bill eventually morphed into, and why it became so disgusting and discriminatory, was to say that any business, any person, could refuse service based on those religious differences. And so what the really, really scary part of that bill was if I was an EMT, if I was a firefighter or an ambulance EMT or something like that, I could respond to a call. And if I found out that that person was a homosexual, I could refuse service to them. Wow. If I drove an ambulance and I came across someone that was having a heart attack, and it was a male, and his husband was yelling at me, "Please save my husband's life," I could sit on the curb and say, "No, my religion does not allow or does not agree with me saving this man's life." Wow. And that's when the bill became truly disgusting. And I am kind of proud that Georgia and its governor decided to stand against this legislation.
Right. Yeah. But then again, you said it's the context of his opposition is coming from the business community, particularly I know Disney and Marvel, AMC with The Walking Dead. They all oppose Home Depot. Yeah. Across the board, there's so many companies that said that they would no longer do business in the state of Georgia if this bill actually became law. And then I know progressive movements like your own and your campaign, you guys really got out there and stomped the ground for it. So listen, I want to give, you know what, he vetoed it, so I'm going to include him on this, but I'm going to give you guys, all of you in Georgia, all the businesses, all the activists, the LGBTQ community, everybody that made sure that that bill did not come. I want to give you guys a salute here, because that's a really scary thing, but it really speaks to this. It really speaks to the deeper problem of not so much religion, but really this expectation that we don't have to live in this community square, this public square together, that we have the right to discriminate against somebody because we don't like the way they live. It used to be we want to discriminate because we don't like your skin, but now it's our religion says what you're doing is bad. And so it's really just this thread that's connecting across state lines, right? You still have the same issue in North Carolina, like you brought up, and the only glimmer of hope that I'm seeing in North Carolina is the Attorney General said that they would not defend the transgender law in court. That's something that just came out today, and so it really, but still speaks to the problem that I want to say it's in the South, but that's not true. It's really across the country. So what are campaigns like yours, movements that you have going on, what are you guys doing to connect the broader coalition across your state, not only in your state, but across state lines, to help fight back against this type of bigotry, but as well as other types of bigotry that are really not just offensive, but detrimental to progress?
So whenever this bill first pushed out of the legislature, HB 757, there was a coalition of businesses that started to grow, and that was the Georgia Prospers Coalition. And so what me and my campaign team have done is gone through that list of businesses, and as of today, it was over 400 businesses in the state of Georgia, and that ranges from Home Depot and Coca-Cola to actually the business back in my wife's hometown in South Georgia where she bought her prom dress for high school. So you have businesses all over the state and outside of state lines. Disney came out against this bill.
Yep.
Giant multinational corporations. And so we've reached out as a campaign team to these businesses, and we've gotten some of these companies to come back to us. One of them is a restaurant down in the downtown area of Atlanta called Woody's Cheesesteaks, and we're actually working with them. The owner was very against HB 757. We're working with them to host campaign events, to have campaign fundraisers, to not only engage the community in our campaign, but to engage them in businesses that came out against this disgusting bill. And so what we want to show is that I'm a progressive, I'm a Democrat running in a red district. I have the support of local businesses, and this HB 757 is what really galvanized and can show people that you have these conservative representatives and senators and state legislatures that they say they're for small and big business. They want to claim that. And then a bill like this gets pushed through the legislature that would make these businesses flock out of the state in record numbers because businesses don't want to do business in a place that is discriminatory towards their own employees. If their employees cannot live in the state comfortably and safely and happily, the business will go to somewhere else. And so we want to show, we've reached out to all these companies on that list. We're still hearing back day to day of, you know, I'm a progressive running in a conservative district. We'd like to work together against this type of legislation. We want to have events at your restaurants, at your businesses. You know, if you're a law firm, we want to put your sign up in an event. That way we can show this law firm has a good head on its shoulders, so to speak. They stand against this discriminatory, this bigoted legislation because, you know, everyone likes to throw out that LGBTQ plus moniker for that group of people that was impacted by this. What I really want to point out to people is that every letter in that list represents millions of people in this country. And in Georgia, we have one of the largest homosexual and gay communities in the entire country, and that's in a southern state. And so each letter on that, lesbian, gay, trans, bigender, all the other letters and monikers that are included in that plus, they represent millions, and in our state of Georgia, hundreds of thousands of people. And we want to be the campaign that says your voice matters in our politics, and we want to be the campaign that represents true change and protection and progress for that group.
Man, okay. Hey, you know, I'm just absorbing everything that you're saying. Let's do a quick shift, and I want you to tell me more. I mean, well, first let's back up. The fact that you committed this portion and this much of your campaign to this particular cause, I think it's commendable, and I you know, it's a cause that I think everyone should fight for, right? I think it's who said this? Sean King from the New York Daily Post. He said this: you cannot call yourself woke, but let's say progressive here. You can't call yourself progressive and still be homophobic or transphobic, and so to see that there's a large segment of even some Democrats who actually vote for this type of bigoted policy, this transphobic, this homophobic policy is really appalling. But they call themselves still progressives. Now, I'm not going to put you in a position where you have to give commentary on all these other Democrats, but I just want to salute you for committing that large portion of your time and your efforts to really helping this cause. And so now tell me more about your race, the state of your race, and then how my listeners in particular could help you out.
And so what we're looking for, why we came onto the show, this is our second time, and we liked the first interview because it gave us a good chance to show people where we stand on some of these issues that don't get brought up, don't get posted on our webpage, things like that. And so what we want to use this type of a setting to use for our campaign is to reach people and say, hey, our campaign exists in a state where you probably didn't figure that a progressive had a chance to run. We've sat down as a campaign team and we've started mapping out canvassing routes and things like that. But what we need is, sadly, money. What we need is, we've had over, I think we're, as of this morning, 62 individual donations. And those donations are about an average of $38. If everyone watching this program gave us $38, we would be able to fund our campaign for the rest of the campaign. That would allow us to print off our brochures, to support our canvassers, our volunteers, going out to the community and speaking to voters. Because as a campaign team, we're not going to be on the AJC, the largest newspaper in Atlanta. We're not going to be on Fox 5 with our, very beautiful media spots. What we're going to do is we're going to spend every dollar that we raise to go out into the community and have a conversation with people to say, hey, I'm going to have a D next to my name in November, because we are officially on the ballot come November. We don't have a primary opponent. We have 2 Republicans that have a primary in May, and we'll know for sure who we're running against. But it doesn't matter. What we want to show people is, even with the D next to my name, I represent true progress for this district. If you want to have your schools be better for your kids, if you want to have your fire and your police paid better but also trained better to where they can interact with the community in a respectable and trustworthy way, if you want to have mass transit options come to your district where you can get to work a reasonable amount of time, and companies want to come to the state of Georgia and in the Atlanta area because they feel like their employees and their economic benefits are higher in the city. And finally, if you want to remove voter restrictions to be able to get on to where you can go out and vote. In Georgia, we do a lot of things in voting correctly, but one of the biggest problems that we have is the 30-day advance registration requirement. Because what that means is, if you wake up and you want to go vote in a primary, if you didn't plan on doing that a month in advance, you can now no longer go out and vote. And so with education, with public safety, with mass transit, with voting reform, I want to go out and have a conversation. But again, we need money to be able to print off the brochures, to be able to get food and water for our volunteers, get shirts, to be able to go out to community events and have a booth at things like the Big Shanty Festival in Kennesaw. And again, we don't need, the max donations. We're doing this just like Bernie Sanders does, to where we have, our average is a little higher because my family, generously supported me, and I've supported the campaign as well. But our average is a little higher than the $27. But even if you just if everyone watching this donated $20, we would be able to get our literature printed, our shirts printed for our volunteers. We'd be able to start our canvassing efforts early. We have 7 months as of today to reach every voter in our district twice, because we have a plan that says we're going to get outspent on media buys, buying special interest groups, but the most cost-effective way is to have a conversation, and we want to start that as early as possible, because if we can talk to them twice, they go into the voting booth in November, remember our name, remember what we can do for them and their families, and we can have real change come in the state legislature, but we need your help. We need donations and we need volunteers if you're local to District 34 in Georgia.
Justin, it's always a pleasure, man. I like your analysis, and I appreciate what you're doing in your campaign. Thanks so much for joining us again. What's the website again, just for everyone to go over and check you out?
So our website is my name, Justin, Justin, the number 4, ga.com. You go on there. If you're local in the city of Atlanta, even if you don't live in our district, you can still sign up to volunteer for us. There's a volunteer form next to our volunteer coordinator form. If you wanted to get involved at a local level in politics, we all like to donate to Bernie Sanders. Me and my wife have donated some money to his campaign, but we've donated over $100 to the campaign. But that money, doesn't really impact a national race as much as it does impact a local race like ours. $100 to us is game-changing. 5 volunteers, if you and your family come and sign up to volunteer for our campaign, that's game-changing. Yeah. That puts 1/8 of the way to our entire goal. If you and 4 other people sign up to volunteer, and like I said, you don't have to live in our district, but we do need donations. We need volunteers so we can go out there and canvass. If you want to go out and speak to people about the issues facing them in Georgia, our campaign is, one of your best options in the state of Georgia. There's a lot of them all around the city, but a lot of them are in districts to where, Democrats win more often. If you want to come out and fight for true progressive change to flip a district, Justin4ga.com.
Justin, I have a group. There's a group, Cobb County Women for Bernie Sanders, and I'm gonna get their leader in touch with you. I mentioned you, and she's like, really? There's somebody out here? I said, yeah. He said Marietta, Kennesaw State, KSU area. She's like, oh my God. So there's a lot of us. There are a lot of Bernie people here who are just looking for what's next.
Yeah, we've gone and spoken at the Kennesaw State University campus to their Bernie student group, and whenever we walked into the room, they said, wait, you can have Democrats run in this area for the state legislature? It's real, guys. It's real. A progressive is running.
There's some people power. We can try and figure out. I'll email you follow up to try and see if we can leverage some people power your way.
Justin, listen, thanks so much for joining us. Like I said, it's always a pleasure. You have some great analysis, and we'll get you back for some more analysis. And every time I bring you on for your analysis, I'm always going to give you a chance to talk about your campaign. So thanks so much for joining us, my friend.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. You guys do a great job here at the Progressive Army.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate that.